This is a product pub event. We're going to wait for a couple minutes till more people join, and then we will start. This is a product pub event. Oh, are we streaming? Wait for a couple minutes till more people join.
Yeah, I wasn't. I think someone else in our team was hearing our streaming voice.
Oh, okay.
Mine didn't make any sound, actually.
Is it possible to mute? Because otherwise it will be a little bit distracting for the audience.
Yeah, I think everybody should mute besides us, because mine doesn't put any sound out on my end, because I've done this before.
Ah, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, the sound is not from me.
Yeah, so everyone, when you join, please mute yourself. And we're going to start the event probably in a minute. Yeah, it may take a while for everyone joining. I think Xiaokun is probably letting people in one by one or something.
Yeah. Oh, I can also let people in here.
Oh, yeah. I think hosts can help letting people in. Yeah. Let's wait till make sure we do let everyone who is waiting get in, and then we can start.
Yeah. Very cool.
How about we start at like 6:05?
Yep. We have 1 more minute.
Yeah.
Trying to play some music.
Do you have any like pre-talk question for audience? We can also ask people when they're waiting for more people to join.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So the people who already joined us live, either on YouTube, I know a few people already joined us live on YouTube right now. So please introduce yourself in the chat. I see Priyanka on YouTube saying hi. Hi, Priyanka. So everybody introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, where you're based, and quick introduction of yourself in both chat and YouTube live and also the Zoom chat right now.
All right, I think we can start.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. You're joining us tonight with Product Pub and Dr. Nancy Lee for a very interesting talk on product metrics. And for those who don't know about us, or this is your first event, let me just quickly introduce who Product Pub is. We are a nonprofit organization founded 2 years ago with a mission to empower professionals with product mind and global perspectives. And we usually organize bi-weekly events. And some of the events are like today's talk with some sharing and Q&A. Sometimes it's workshops. Sometimes it could be debates. And sometimes it could be some design sprints. So if you are interested in more talks and events in the future, please go to our website, productpub.org. To subscribe to the email list, or you can contact one of our volunteers for the WeChat group and then Slack channels. And let me introduce myself briefly. I'm one of the co-founders. My name is Chen Zhen. I'm currently a product director at Netflix, focusing on algorithm innovations. And I've been very honored to work with a group of volunteers to put together interesting events for all of you bi-weekly. And then today, we're also very honored to invite Dr. Nancy Lee. She's a director of product at Cox. a mentor and also YouTuber. And so that's why I mentioned earlier, there's actually a YouTube live streaming events happening at the same time. So we have a lot of audience from the Zoom meeting as well as YouTube live at the same time. And then she was the youngest engineer, PhD from BU, then transitioned to be a product manager. Within 4 years, she was promoted to the director of product at Cox Communications. So that's very impressive speed. She had leadership roles at Verizon and Shell Oil, and she's also an alumnus of BU and MIT. Her goals is to help highly motivated individuals transition to product manager and help them to get the compensation they want. So you can check out more of her weekly videos at her YouTube channel, Dr. Nancy Lee, and her website. And so our volunteers later, if you can put up those links so that people can find the right entrance. And then tonight, she is going to share with us a bit about her thoughts regarding product metrics, and especially from the point of view, for everyone to prepare for the interview, to get transitioned to be a product manager, or for entry-level product manager to learn the foundation of product metrics. So I just want to point out the first probably hour of sharing will be focusing on those aspects. And then for our more senior folks, so we will have a Q&A session with a little bit more dive into best practice in the industry or examples in real work environment and other topics as well. So with that, let me hand it over to Dr. Nancy Lee to share about her experience and thoughts on this subject.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Chan, for the introduction. All right, thank you everybody for joining us. I know in the chat, we already see people coming from San Francisco and the West Coast. I know a few of us in the East Coast. A few of you guys actually messaged me and joined me last minute. And thank you so much for joining us. So let's get started. Another quick reminder is that if anybody have been to my talk before, all my talks are very engaging, and feel free to comment on the chat directly. I read all the chat in the small group and also on the Facebook live chat. I read all of those, so feel free to comment below because I want to make sure my talk is tailored directly to your questions. All right, so let me start to share my screen right here. Cool. All right, and do the full presentation mode. Also put out the chat window because engagement is very important to me, which we will talk in engagement as part of the parametrics as well. Awesome. Great. Okay, so I'm getting started now. Cool. All right. So when you another reminder is that when you respond to the chat, make sure you respond to everyone, not just to me. So because everybody else want to hear everyone's comment and ideas as well. So today we are going to talk about the secret of product metrics. All right, so let's get started. My name is Dr. Nancy Lee. So we'll talk about the secret of product metrics. So what does this mean to you? And first of all, I want to give you this promise that we are going to show you how to crush your confusion and remove all the struggles of landing a job as product manager in the tech industry and make you feel confident that you're using the right strategy to ace a product metrics interview. And especially this kind of transformation will start when you start to think like a product manager. All right, make sure you stay until the end of this talk because I have a special bonus for all of you guys, which is a free product manager resume template, which is the same template I used to land 4 product manager jobs during the pandemic. So make sure to stay until the end and you will get a link to download the resume template. Another reminder for all of you guys is that I know most of you guys are millennials, so I know. So you guys are getting distracted by Instagram and TikTok. So I really recommend all of you guys to put all the distractions away for this 45 minutes talk because this is going to change your strategy of becoming a product manager. So another part I recommend everybody to do is that share this talk on your social media network and such as Instagram and LinkedIn. You can tag me in your posts and sharing as well. The reason of importance of sharing on social media, in this case, more important on LinkedIn, is building your brand. So do not hide behind that you are interested in product management. until, okay, I get a product manager job so I can share this about product management, or only I become a director, then I can express my opinion about product management. That's totally incorrect, because branding starts before you start get into the field. You need to let people know you're interested in thinking about product management before you even land a job. And this is also going to accelerate your process getting either promoted or land a job as a product manager. So I encourage everybody to share either this video or anything about product management on LinkedIn specifically. I also see more people in the waiting room. Maybe we can let people in at the same time. Okay, so let me ask you all those questions. I know that today we have about like 100 people registered, so it's very important for me to understand your background very quickly. So I guess there are 3 reasons you're here today. The first reason you're here because first, you are an experienced product manager. So you want to discuss the practical tips of designing product metrics. If one is you, comment on the chat, say 1. And the second reason you're here today was because you already got some interviews. You just want to learn how to land the product manager offer during the pandemic with severe competition. If 2 is you, comment 2 in the chat. And the third reason you're here today, maybe because you're new to product management. You just want to know what are product metrics. This sounds a new thing to me, right? So comment on the chat 1, 2, 3 and let me know why you're here today. And as you know, the answer is very important was because all the product managers need to do customer segmentation. So whenever I give a talk, I see you guys and my customers as well. I need to put you in the different segment so that I talk to different folks based on where they are and what kind of segment they are. Okay, so I see people coming in and thank you. I see Justin said 2. Oh, so many comments. Great. I'm reading them, all of them right now. Angela 3, Nisha 2. I see ES 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, we see lots of 3 and 2. That's interesting. And 1 and 2. May recently commented that he said, I work in product strategy at YouTube. Curious to know how you set North Star metrics for the team. Okay, cool. We'll talk about it as well. And I see lots of 3s, 2 and 3s, very little 1. Let me repeat the answer so that here is a customer segmentation, right? So 2 and 3 means 2 means you got an interview already, you just want to nail an offer. 3 means you're kind of new. 1 means you are experienced. For example, May comment in the chat saying that she's already in product strategy. So I assume you're the 1 more experienced people. All right. So given most people already in the 2 or 3 categories, so in my definition is aspiring product manager or someone who's new to product management. So therefore this talk, I will dedicate this 45 minutes to people who is relatively new into the space. And for people who are already very experienced as a product manager, we can discuss in more details during the Q&A session. So please bear with me. And another reminder to all of you guys is that even if we're experienced product manager, if recently you're thinking about changing jobs, this talk is also very relevant to you because being a PM and getting job offer is 2 different things. They're overlap, but there's skills we need to pick up as well. So let's focus on 2 and 3 for today's talk. Cool. All right, I'll see Clear said data scientist supports product project. Awesome. Yeah, I see Clear. In that case, you will probably thinking more about what kind of metric product manager use so they can help you to do your job as a data scientist as well. Okay, great. That's very exciting. All right, so before we get started, I just want to let you know that no matter why you're here, whatever reason you are here today, I will support you regardless because all your experience you have been through, I've been there before. So I understand all your emotions. And very quick introduction about who I am. And Chan made a really good introduction. And at here, I just want to quickly talk a little bit where I personally interested in defining who I am. And actually, I am a director of product and YouTuber. I transitioned actually from individual contributor to a director of product within 4 years. I also received award for my product. For the first product I launched, I'm going to give you examples of the award-winning product in the talk today as well. And I'm also a product management coach, a negotiation expert. I launched 2 products in total in my 4 years experience, become a product manager, and the director is I launched a Smart Cities product and also 5G Edge AWS Wavelengths product. On top of that, also immigrant. I'm a ballroom dancer. I am the first in my family who actually went to the college. I'm also the first woman engineer in my family, and first people in my family actually travel all the world to the US as well. So if you're also the first, please comment on the chat as well, saying that I am the first of what. For example, you're also the first person who got MBA in your family, or the first female engineer in your family as well. So comment on the chat, I am the first of what. Actually, when I asked these questions to another negotiation workshop I had before, the most interesting answer I heard before was, I'm the first Emmy Award winner. So let me see what are the first you are. So comment on the chat, I am the first of what in your family or in your class. And why I ask you this question is that as an immigrant, for most of us, we barely thinking about our accomplishment. We think more about what we don't have. So I want to encourage you guys to think about how far you have gone through by thinking about you're also the first of what in your family. So feel free to comment on the chat directly. And at the same time, I can see the comment flowing in. So Helen said the first in the technology industry in the family. Yeah. Angela said the first English speaker in your family. Oh, very proud of you. Wow. And Clea said the first polo player. Wow, in your family. Hey guys, you got so much talent out there. Amy says the first in your family to study abroad. And Nisha said the first being to the Bay Area. That's awesome. And I also see actually more things. Let me see more things flowing in on YouTube. So YouTube saying that the first to get a master's degree, and also Lorenza said the first immigrant in family as well. Awesome. Cool. Let me get back to this talk, and thank you for answering these questions. You see how much we've accomplished just by very limited amount of time for what you've studied in the past. Okay, so let's continue this talk. And something quick about myself is my transition into product management. And actually, I was the youngest engineering PhD from Boston University a few years ago. However, to be honest, my first job wasn't very glorious. This is a picture of me in the working for Shell Oil in the oil field. I was a systems engineer. And to be honest, at those 3 years engineering work at Shell Oil, I just didn't feel like I was in the right place. So I didn't have enough customer interaction, no product management experience. And to be honest, I see too much politics, and out there, people wasn't rewarded by the companies they bring in. They're more rewarded by how loud you speak in front of the crowd or in front of meetings. And company intentionally slow down my green card. So I feel very, very, very disappointed, and also crashing my confidence at the time. So when I start to look around to get into the new field that I feel like product management is the right path for me, but interviewer usually say, you don't have it. They will say, well, you have engineering background, you got PhD, you just don't have the business side of things. Or they will say that, oh, you know what, you're on H1B, maybe wait for a little while, we don't sponsor like H1B. What inside of me was that, why they cannot see the talent in me? I just remember sitting on the table behind the scene to feel like I was a worker bee, building mathematical models. So people cannot see I can do actually. So I feel very miserable for my first job. But I decide to learn. I decide to learn product management and all the core networking skills, because I believe that investing in yourself is the best investment. That the only thing that can really change somebody who's also immigrant in the US is actually improve herself and try to seek new opportunities. So I start to figure out how to make transition. And a few months later, actually, I got 2 product manager offers with no product management experience within 3 months. And I also got 30% raise. And actually, my first product was received as a Mayor's Best Practice Award. During COVID, I made another jump. So during COVID, I started to think about, I really want to get into the leadership position, because at the time, before I switched jobs, I have already managed a team of senior product managers but I really want to get promoted into another higher level. So what should I do? So I decided to look around. So I end up getting 4 product manager offers. 3 of those are director product offers. I also received 4% raise and became a director of product within 4 years. And why I am teaching you guys today is that my long-term goal, actually, to be honest, is to build hundreds of high schools in China to teach kids from mid- low-income families entrepreneurship. Why I really care about this segmentations, customer segmentations, was because, to be honest, I was one of those kids. I never grew up rich, and to be honest, I never been to any vacation until I was age of 20. Because my family never had money to put into like vacation. To them, vacation is luxury. All they focus on how can they put food on the table and how can they invest in education, which is my education. So it's pretty, to be honest, it took me a while to really get used to the fact that admit to others that I was poor and was behind others for a while. But I decided to share you the story was because guess what? The people who are richer than me a few years ago, now they all work for me. So the message I want to tell all of you guys is that it doesn't matter where you get started. It matters what your goal is and how fast you get to the next level of your career. Okay, so I encourage all of you guys to think about, is there anybody else you can help around you? And that's why I start to teach people, and so that sometime down the road, I can meet somebody who has similar mission of helping people from middle-income families in China. But as you know, there is very limited opportunity for me to build a nonprofit right away during COVID, and also US-China relationship is pretty bad right now. So there's nothing I can do at this moment. However, I discover a fact that there's some small problem I can fix right now. So as a director of product at Cox and also used to work with Verizon and Shell Oil, I discovered that I was the only female manager out of 100 people product management organization. When I look around, it's more than and also those are 100 people product management organization belongs to Fortune 20 technology company. That was the top 20 companies in the world. They didn't have female leaders. At that time, I wasn't even a director. I was just a manager. They don't even have a female manager. On top of that, when I look around, is any other immigrant in the leadership position? Countless. I don't see you. No, sorry, it's not countless. You can count with your whole hands, right? What with one hand. So there are not that many people like us who is in the leadership position. And the reason was because an immigrant usually do not know how to stand up for ourselves. We're usually like slow down because the H-1B and green card issue. On top of that, there is no role model in front of us. So therefore, I decide to make some YouTube channels and share my experience, anything I've learned or any mistake I've made. And I also made another video recently in the summer. I went live on YouTube, talk about how to get promoted as a female minority. So you can check out more of those videos on my YouTube channel. And I know today we talk about becoming a product manager, and especially for people who's new into the space. And it is a little bit questions of confidence if you are new to the space, because right now during COVID, 50% of jobs has been taken away. So it's very likely you will receive more rejections and then offers. But I want you to think about actually there's a lot of people and lots of things can happen during the pandemic. For example, I have students transition from a consultant into a technical program manager in Amazon, and other people transition from an MBA background and engineering background into a product manager, and someone else transition from UI UX intern to become a product designer, and someone else directly with undergrad with no product management experience and receive an intern offer within 2 weeks as well. Or someone else like right now, we are actually receiving referrals from the head of product at Google. Like Somia, he himself doesn't have work experience. I'm super, super proud. To be honest, the person I'm proud most is Vanessa. Vanessa is a stay-home mom for 14 years. And herself never worked that fully like real work experience for 14 years, and she has some like side project. And when she reached out to me, I was very devoted and trying to help stay-home mom to get back her career on track after she has taken a long break. And she ended up was able to land like 6 interviews within 7 weeks. So if all those people can make it happen, even during the pandemic, I believe all of you guys can make it happen as well. Okay, so let's focus on the specific strategies you can do to become a product manager or improve your product management skills if you are new to this space. Okay, so let's figure out the product metrics and ace the interview. So let me ask all of you guys this question. What's your background? And I know that a few of you guys already mentioned that you are product managers, but what about other people? What's your original background? So are you all product management or you are data scientists? So tell me more. Stella said first own a business. Oh, that's prior question, sorry. Yan said designer, great. Natasha said marketing, okay, great. So we see people from very different background. Data scientist, EA said data scientist, Wei said accounting, Helen said supply chain product systems, Alice says product ops, PMM, awesome. Okay, May said first job also energy industry. Oh, you also for energy. Which company do you work for? Alan said business development. Angela said accounting management science. And Stella said data. Herman said data computer science. Wow. Hey guys, I was surprised. I thought at least part of you guys are PM. Actually, they're more very, very different background. That's good to know. I also see people on YouTube. I know like Priyanka herself is in a computer science degree as well. Very cool. Okay, now I see where's your guys' background is. Awesome. Then the coming case will be very interesting for you guys to get started and practice your product management case interview. Okay, great. So first of all, let me do a quick level set for everybody, given everybody come from very, very different background and few of you guys are already product managers. So let's understand this. What are parametrics interview questions and what is parametrics, right? So parametrics are the qualified data that point to track the success of the product. For example, could be daily active users, as we heard this 1 million times, right? And also the return on investment or the how accurate is your facial detection algorithm. All of those belong to parametrics. And why parametrics are important? On the surface, their typical reason they will say, oh, because they can help product manager to make a better decision. That's very true. And on top of that, behind it, to be honest, I use the parametrics to help to hold my engineering team accountable. And on top of that, you also can use it to align the stakeholders. I'm going to give you specific examples later on how we do stakeholder alignment. And there's another thing usually people do not talk about, because right now I am a hiring manager. So I know how exactly the bonus and how different like salary, the situation was made. You know what? The product's performance, the parametrics was actually used to track your bonus. So let's do this, right? So let's say if you have a team of like 5 or 10 product managers, which one will get higher bonus this year? If there's a specific metric you can show to your manager, or your manager will work with HR, something very obvious, right? Someone else product brings in way more revenue than other people, or the metrics can show that your product is better than others, you will have a higher bonus. So this is a hidden information why the product metrics is very important. And let me also quickly point this out is that what type of positions actually need product metrics knowledge. And I see a few of you guys actually came in with a data scientist background. Yes, actually yourself answers the question very well. So those positions in terms of product manager, product analyst, product marketing, and all those majors or actually specific job functions are very related to product management. So they need to have those product metrics knowledge in order to do their job very well and in order to communicate cross-functionally. Now, let me also give you some sample interview questions. We're going to crack one interview question. This is all the list of examples of interview questions about parametrics questions. So what are the parametrics of Facebook event? Real interview question. Or the daily active user of LinkedIn suddenly dropped. What might go wrong? How would you fix it? Those are parametrics questions. What data would you collect from the data scientist to fix ABC issues? Those are parametrics questions. How would you answer the question very well? So let me give you one of the specific framework that is going to crack those questions. And so the other thing I want to remind you is that why they ask you those questions, right? They want to test you before you even start the job because the job market is very competitive. They were thinking about, well, does this person have the PM experience? Or do you have the product sense? Or do you start making product decisions starting from day one, right? So whether you can answer those questions really determined the answer to those three questions. Of course, they shouldn't. Of course, nobody should expect to have any product management experience. Everybody said, we see how you think, right? That's, wow. It's, to be honest, that's surface reason. They see how you think. But whoever had better prepared, who used the right framework, all right, who had more product management experience can answer those questions better than others. If you do not use the right framework, they will say, oh, you don't have product sense, and reject you. So never directly listen to recruiters say, oh, you don't need any PM experience, just see how you think. Okay, don't fall into that trap. Okay, prepare ahead of time. Now let me teach you how to answer those parametrics interview questions. What kind of framework should you use? So let's look into this framework I invented. I call this framework is my computer science PhD framework to answer the parametrics interview questions. I repeat again. So it's my CS PhD framework for the parametrics interview questions. This is the real framework. Hey guys, I just want to align them in a way that is easier for all of you guys to remember. So remember this, my computer science PhD framework for parametrics interview questions. So let me walk you through what are those the specific, my PhD, my computer science PhD framework, right? Okay, so it starts with mission, why, customers, segmentation, priority, health, and de-risk. All right, so let's use a live example to answer these questions and also apply the my PhD, my computer science PhD framework into the real interview question. Let's say the real interview question is, what are the metrics of Facebook event? What are the metrics of the Facebook event? How would you answer that? So broad. Okay, so apply this my computer science PhD framework into the answer in this question. Okay, let's go through this. Step one is my part. Actually, I should highlight M and Y. Sorry, it should be M and Y. My, okay, means mission and why. Mission and why. So when you talk about this Facebook event product, you should talk about Facebook mission and why building this event product is very important to solve in this case, right? You can say that Facebook mission is bring the world together by providing the right tools. So during COVID, people felt very separated and lonely. So creating those online events using Facebook totally serving the purpose of bringing the world closer together. That's all you need to say during the interview. Here's another thing. If you do not interview at Facebook, you interview at a medium-sized company and their mission wasn't very clear through your research, and you can ask them that, so what's your mission? Why we are even designing this marijuana product, right? Any new product they want you to design. If you watch my mock interview questions, the video, mock interview video on my YouTube channel, the one, the mock interview I did when that was another candidate was design an app for the grocery store, right? So that candidate asked this question, why you even design this? So what's the purpose behind it, right? That's where the my framework coming in, mission and why, my framework. Okay. Next part is computer science, CS. So where is the CS coming from? It's customer segmentation. Okay. So first of all, you need to define who are your customers, and then who is using the product, what are the segmentation. Do not read my answers there, okay? I want you guys to comment on the chat directly. Who are the customers using the Facebook event product? Just put a comment on the chat, because I want to see how you think, and I can correct you if your answer wasn't good, or you can create some creative ideas. As a hiring manager, I interview more than 100 candidates, I can tell is the answer good or bad. Okay, so comment on the chat directly and answer this question. Who are the segments or people or customers who are using the Facebook event product? So comment on the chat who will be the ones who use the I'm going to unshare so you cannot see the answers. Okay, yeah, who are the users as in the creator or the event participate? Yes, that's a good answer. Max said it, event creator or event participant. Any type of user. Hey guys, any type of users is fine. You just need to think about the high level. So first of all, think about the high level users first before you break it down into something very, very small. So what the high level users in your mind right now? Okay, so we have people coming in said activity organizer, and Emily said organizer. Yes, we see club, member of groups, students. JD said SMB, people operates teams, and H said users and organizers, sponsors. Oh, sponsors, a good one. Yeah, awesome. Okay, people need to meet and share information. Let me see okay, all good answers. Let me also see more feedback on the YouTube live right now. So I see people say, on YouTube, people are saying some musicians, entertainers. Okay, and tech savvy people. All right, okay, let me give you some hint to these questions, how to answer those questions. Okay, before I show my slides has answers. I don't want to show you my slides right now, but how you answer those questions in this case is, when you think about, let's say, the Facebook event product, before you dive into the sub ones regarding musicians, entertainment, you should think about them in two bigger categories before you dive into smaller segments. Okay, so for bigger categories, the way you see it is, if you create any event, there are event organizer, there's also attendees. Like today's event, Facebook Live event, right? Organizers, me and also Chen and her group, and attendees, which are you guys, right? And within this attendee, you can break it down by different type of attendees. But for the purpose of parametrics question, we only segment them into the top two levels first, which is organizers and event attendees. Okay, I see half of you guys actually got it correctly. That's great. That's amazing. Okay, let me start sharing my screen again. Cool, and continue the next part of the framework. Cool, we are back here. So we talk about my CS, right? Although I also give you actually more examples on my slide. What if you have Facebook news product, right? Facebook event, your organizer, attendees, Facebook news product, news. Well, to be honest, I don't really read news on Facebook, but this could be like interview questions. Just bring it up to you guys. Well, Facebook news product, you have two types, publishers and readers. Within readers, you can continue to break it down. You break it down in your product sense interview in a deeper level. For parametrics, you break it down in a higher level. That's good enough. Okay. Now, next part of framework is the PhD part. What the P stands for, priorities. There's so many metrics out there. Which one would you choose? You need to prioritize the mission-related metrics. Okay, so let me ask you this question. Do not try to read all the things on my deck right now, but just help you to think about it. So what's the most important measurement did you see if your product is successful? That's a prioritized mission-related metrics. Think about Facebook. Facebook mission is bring the world closer together, right? And this is the key component of what you define the most important part of my Facebook event, is it successful or not, right? So now please comment on the chat. What do you think is the mission related product metrics for Facebook event? So comment on the chat and let's see what do they come up with. So 2 types, daily active user. We need more than daily active users, account of active participant. That's pretty good. Do we have better answers? So let me bring this up regarding people like to say daily active users. We need something more specific, right? So if you go into any product manager interview questions, you say, I just want to count daily active users, it's likely you're not going to pass it because they want something very product specific, right? So what does daily active user to you mean? So people log into Facebook will become daily active user, but didn't go to any people's events, it's still considered daily active users, right? Or you can define it as people attend at least 1 event per month is considered daily active user. So something very specific is very critical. Okay. So we have someone comment saying that number event and people attending it. We only have 2 answers. Okay. But I think there's more. Hey guys, there's more. Let me see people on YouTube. What did you say? Okay, I see answering from you. And engagement, how many people are attending, average time spent per user. And that's a very interesting one. I'm going to comment later on. So average time spent per user can be put into the product health metrics. It's not the mission related metric. We need to see something more direct, more mission related metrics, and product health is the other sequence of metrics I'm going to show you guys right after this part. I just want to see what do you think is the most important mission related metrics for the product, right? Which has, I see Priyanka said, how many people are showing interest and attending the event? That's a good one. And we also have people putting more content saying, more answers saying that number of new organizers, how many new geographical location Facebook has entered, number of event created. Okay, those are all good answers. So let me provide feedback on your answer, on your answers already right here. Cool. So the most direct answers to 2 group of users. So Facebook would like to see your 2-sided marketplace. They want to see, okay, there are like organizers and also the attendees. So for organizers, we usually one of the ways we quantify how successful they are is that number of Facebook event organizer related to the organizers part. And we can also see from the attendees perspective. From attendees perspective, we can see the number of event attended per month. Right? So why I do not want to choose the total number of new events was because Facebook is huge, right? So Facebook, how many billions of users you guys have per day, right? So let's say if I have 5 million events per day, is this a lot or is this a little? So it's harder to see. So usually when I talk about metrics, I like to put them into a bound, which is if I have 5 million events per day, but if I divide it by the number of active users using the event, which means at least somebody is clicking the event page is considered as an active user of event. So it's 5 million divided by active users, including how many people or divided by time frame per month. Then can say, okay, on average for Facebook, my event, there are like 5 events per attendee per month, which means if this person goes to 5 events per month, that's considered really high. So we like to bound them directly by the divided by daily active users or divided by among the time. And that's the way we like to quantify it better. So the other part is, I think in the YouTube channel, and someone said how long they watch it. So that's engagement, people putting lots of engagement score. So engagement score actually goes into the product health metrics, not directly the mission related metrics. The reason is that there's 2 different steps. Step 1 is I want people to use the event, attend event. I want organizer to organize the event, right? And next part is once they organize the event, what's the engagement? So you want to hit the first level metrics first, and then you go down to, okay, do they engage? Do they leave early? Or all other metrics can come up with. So we go to the first level, the ones I described first. So let me continue to share my screen again. How to, hold on. Is this one I'm sharing? Okay, now I'm sharing my string again. So this is priorities. So when you answer those prioritized mission related metrics, the framework you're thinking is you need to pick one per type of users, the two-sided marketplace. And one type is what kind of metric do you think about for event organizer? What kind of metric do you think about for attendees? So pick one of each, and those are your prioritized metrics. The next part is usually the better prioritization is once you have, like, let's say in this case is you have two metrics related to the mission for each type of user, then now you need to prioritize among those two which one is the most important, like North Star metrics. In this case, usually you will select the one that's most important to the majority of the users, and because mission of Facebook bringing people together, bring the growth together. So I would imagine they will prioritize the metrics related to the product manager, related to the attendee, which is how many events per attendee attend per month. This is not the fixed answer. You can come up with your own answer. This is just an inspiration for you to think about what a better way to quantify it and also make it more tangible, right? And now you prioritize your mission-related metrics and your North Star metric. Then we go to the fun part, the product health-related metrics. And H stands for the product health. Within the product health, actually, you guys answered those questions very well already within your chat, earlier chat. What you had earlier, you talk about the engagement. Yeah, the engagement is really good. And you also talk about like active users. But for active users, you need to define what kind of active users considered active, right? People log into Facebook or people attend one event or post comment in the event, right? All those are very important. So you define an active user. What does this mean? And maybe the size of the event. So here's the thing. The size of the event or size in general is very common questions they will ask you in the interview. So do you think the size matters or not? Do you think the bigger the event, the better? Do you think the more attendees the event, the better, right? They will ask you in the interview process. It's supposed to be very engaging during the entire process. If it's engaging, it doesn't have to say, yeah, size is very important. It doesn't matter. Sometimes one of my students answered this very well. What she said was, no, the size doesn't matter because Facebook, in this case, is focused on bringing people together. If there's an event have 5,000 people in it, but people don't engage, don't make new friends, and it doesn't serve the purpose and the mission of Facebook. So therefore, her answer is, I don't think the size matters. What matters is the engagement. Did they make new friends? And did they like comment? Did they engage? They comment on the chat? Like today, you guys actually high engagement score for this specific event, right? So it doesn't matter what your answer is. You need to defend it with the right rationale. Okay, yeah. And some of you guys saying that, yes, H said very good. Like this, like returning participant, right? So the first event, like product pubs event. So next time when they have another event or invite Dr. Nancy Lee again, the returning participant is very high. It's also considered as really good measurement saying, oh yes, you build a product and the product is very healthy at a very, very high returning participant. So all of those can go into the product health segment. Let me see if any, anyone says something else. Let's see. Event day, satisfaction. Yeah, number event per day. Yeah, our author said that's what we said earlier regarding the product health product mission, the mission related metrics, we go up there, number of event, and then engagement, returning rate, all go to the product health questions. Great. Let me, I like all of your questions. Let me see any other questions we have on, hold on. Sorry, I'm thinking this. Any other things we have? Even reach out to people. Oh, interesting. How many people showing interest attending event? How many event organizers attended? Yeah, is event reaching out to people? Are you, Harash, are you saying that the event organizer reach out to other people when they organize an event? That's interesting. Yeah, I think reaching out is okay. I think the more important is you reach out and there is a return response back and forth, or you can define it. I reach out and there's a response. At least this one response is considered positive reaching out, and this can go into your engagement score as well. That's very good. I like your creative thinking. Okay, great. So let's continue this framework. Great. Cool. And on the framework, usually we're adding another part of the interview part is the technical part, how healthy your product is, page up time, page load time, or accuracy of your product. So for my product, I'm going to give you specific examples, right? For my Smart Cities product, accuracy is important, and those technical detail will also go into is this product healthy or not. So that's our product health metrics. So let's go to the last part of this is PhD framework. The D stands for Drisk. So this is a value add answer to your questions, is that when we talk about the Drisk, your answers, think about, well, if we design the product metrics questions in terms of how many the number of average event people attend per week, so or per month, that's really good. But is there any specific risk could be involved? What kind of like de-risk activities we should start to think about, right? So the risk behind it, for example, could be ethical problem or abusing the product. For example, if you have a Facebook event product, but people use this Facebook event product to organize terrorists, right? Terrorist group have a Facebook event product. That's really bad. How can we figure out, like product manager, when you design your product, you need to think about how to de-risk this as well. So you need to come up with different kind of potential risk could be involved when you build this product. And this is especially important for like big social like companies like Facebook. And actually I'm talking to the director of TikTok in a week from, I think 10 days from today, and it's going to go live on my YouTube channel as well. And his team specializes in designing all the social impact product, not just the TikTok, like recommending really funny videos. His team is designing product beyond that, because as a company, if you only design one type of social product and not thinking about different kind of potential risk or other social issues, that's something is not very strongly recommended. So the product manager needs to think about any other risk should come up in when you design this product metric. But to be honest, this is not the most important part of the framework. At here, you just need to mention, oh, let me think about if any other risk of the product metrics I define. The higher the numbers or the higher engagement, if they engage with terrorist group, that's not a good thing, right? You just need to bring this up. Then they give you a positive sign. You already use this like Drisk framework. That's perfect. And there is also another value add part of the interview process is A+. If you can bring out the counter metrics, that's even better. Counter metrics is thinking about a specific metric prevents the team to overemphasize the North Star metrics. For example, if the North Star metric in this case is the lifetime value of a product should be $1,000 or as high as possible, right? Then the sales team continue to drive people using a product. Sounds like it's perfect North Star metrics. But the counter metric is that as long as a customer acquisition cost is lower than lifetime value of the product, is considered healthy metrics. Or let's say your lifetime value of any product is $100, your customer acquisition cost is $120. So each new customer you sign up, you're losing $20. So that's not good. So when you design the North Star metrics, the A+ answer is at the end of your into the my computer science PhD framework. You also talk about, we should also think about any other counter metrics we should bring up so that we won't overemphasize the North Star metrics, right? Cool. And actually another hint is that the counter metrics, in my opinion, of the Facebook event product is a specific engagement score. And sometimes your counter metric could be part of your product health metrics as well, but you just need to keep that in mind. You do need to think about any other metrics that is going to prevent the North Star metric to be overemphasized as well. And another part of A+ answer is any cannibalization, especially for big companies. This is very specific regarding big companies like Facebook. They have so many competing teams. Someone working on dating apps, someone working on Facebook Marketplace, someone working on the Facebook groups. But at the end user, your attention span is limited. Whose product do I supposed to engage the most, right? So there are actually competing needs within Facebook themselves. So that's where the cannibalization part of the framework also is A+ answered, which is when we design our metrics, we need to think about, do we cannibalize any other teams' product metrics as well? So because this will lead to like politics within the company, to be honest. So this is something you need to mention in your interview. So do not need to spend so much time on this. You just need to mention this. We might cannibalize any other like Facebook groups event, Facebook groups, because if you have an event, you less likely will go to the same group to get together as well. So you just mention that, then you can finish the entire my computer science PhD framework for the parametrics interview questions. Now, let me also walk you through another framework in terms of the parametrics framework in real life. There is this typical framework when we design the product launch, right? How successful you are in terms of your product is driving revenue or driving customers for this company. We use this RISE framework: reach, act, convert, and engage. Okay, so at here, let's use like B2C product as an example. Let's say any B2C product, let's say Instagram or TikTok, right? Reach means how many people heard about this and they visit your website, or they went to the app store, they check it out, reach, right? Act is somebody actually had engagement or did something on your product, right? In terms of, okay, actually they heard about TikTok or something. Well, they read an article about the impact of TikTok on teenagers' confidence, right? Something like that, right? Or the share the social post about people really have a great time using TikTok, something like that. And convert is someone who actually get into your pipeline. Get into your pipeline, either become a user, or if someone become early adopters, or someone directly get into lower ends of your sales funnel who already start to build minimum relationship for the purpose of sales and partnership. That's a convert. And engage is more towards, okay, once you start to use my product, what's the engagement rate, right? Using Facebook event, what's the engagement rate? And did they start to share this with others? Did they like this product? Did they continue to use this? How many return customers into this product? What did they like refer this product to their friends? All the like engagement product, right? This is the RISE framework mainly used to measure how successful your product after its launch. But in reality, let me show you, there are more metrics we use in real life than the product launch RISE framework. Is that there's lots of technical metrics we use when we launch product. And for example, scalability, accuracy, systems uptime, so reliability. So specific technical metric varies, depends on the type of product you are launching. Let me give you this type of sample metrics first, and I use a real life example to show you what kind of metrics we use in real life. And of course, it's also business metrics. This, to be honest, most companies, the revenue is the #1 business metrics, to be honest. But there's also other things regarding the engagement, daily active users, or your North Star KPIs. or your conversion rate, all of those belongs to the business metrics. So let me give you a real life example. How do we pick the right metric? Because there's so many of them, right? Would you have 20 different metrics? That's a little bit too much overkill, right? Because we still want our bonus to be hit at the end of this year. Okay, so let's think about what real life metrics would you choose that makes sense of your product. For example, this is my specific product, a smart cities product. And the picture here is actually before we even build the product, we show a mock-up of the design and how things will work out, how we install our product to our end users. In this case, is the traffic department of City of Boston. So that's our original mock-up actually. And this specific product, the purpose is to help cities to use machine vision and to reduce car crashes. And in this picture, actually, we're putting like 24 cameras. That's crazy. That's our first MVP. We didn't know what camera will work out. So actually, to be honest, we put 24 cameras and 10 different sensors in an intersection to do an experiment and learn. I was very impressed by the City of Boston that allow us to do so much experiment in a little single intersection. After we put on 24 cameras in one intersection, we're able to see every single thing in the intersection, right? So that's a type of like examples of product we make. Now let's think about what kind of metrics would you put in, right? And especially the different phases. We need to define different product in different phases of the product. The example, the screenshot I just showed you actually is public information. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you can pull up the entire article which shows about MVP, right? So that's MVP, all public information. Now the question is that in different phases of your product, how would define different metrics? And given we have a list of 20 metrics for you to choose from, right? And what I suggest people to do is in the first phase of metrics, which is you need to think about what is the customer goal, what's the business goal. Business goals internal to your stakeholders. To be honest, for majority of product I work on, the business goal is always bringing the most revenue. Some of the product I build on, the goal is to have the fastest market entry. We need to have higher market penetration. I don't care at the beginning, we are not making that much money because of competitive speaking, I don't want my competitor to catch up. So that's all the business goals aligned with the internal stakeholders. And customer goals is, in this case, is usually what customer want to solve, what the problem they want to solve. In this case, cities want to reduce car crashes, right? And then in the MVP phase is when our engineers build it and we continue to bring feedback from the customers. For the MVP phase, for my product, Smart City product, the accuracy is the most important part. Can we bring in the right data for cities to reduce car crashes? That's the most important part, right? So during my MVP phase, I will put in the accuracy and also the system's uptime and all the resiliency, scalabilities into the definition of my MVP so that I hold my engineering teams accountable. So when we launch this, we will start to think about, of course, the market penetration. When I launch a product, actually the business goal is to have a high market penetration. And from city's perspective, they want to reduce the crash rate. And of course, we also want to generate more revenue as well. So all of those goes into launch metrics. Can you imagine that in this process, our parametrics start to evolve, depends on where you are in this product launch framework. Now, let me also show you when buyers and users had different kind of needs, what should we talk about? What should we think about? So in this case, use this real life example for smart cities product, helping cities to reduce car crashes. There are buyers and users. Buyers are Department of Traffic in Boston. And also we have mayor's office looking into this project as well. And the users are traffic engineers and data scientists, right? So the buyers, when they think about this product, they're more interested in like having fundings and continual flow of fundings into systems like infrastructure development or equality of the cities, and has a reputation of a mayor's office, or because mayors want to get elected next year. So to be honest, a lot other emotional reasons behind building any smart cities product, right? So those are their needs. And then user persona, the user, to be honest, the user's needs are in general more straightforward because they are more aligned with the problems we're trying to solve. In this case, is the data accurate? Do I have the right crash rate? Did the system break down? And did they give me what I wanted so that I can make the right decision? Can I afford it, right? So this is a more practical answer. So sometimes if those buyers' needs and users' needs are slightly different, then we need to do stakeholder management. And here, I will just show you some high-level framework that I just want you guys to quickly think about. If this happens in your real life, what kind of framework can you use? And in this case, usually I recommend people to prioritize based on your impact, urgency, effort, and the risk behind all this different prioritizing needs. And in that case, we'll always bring stakeholders into the decision-making process and let them be part of the prioritization, let them to understand why this is challenging, why we need to not focus on like fundings or reputation for this moment in phase 1, but in phase 2, we can pick it up, right? So have them to be part of decision-making process. And finally, I recommend people to be transparent in the decision-making process, because usually, especially when the project is very big, so you are able to talk to different type of stakeholders, and you need to make all of them understand your decision-making process so that there is no hidden reasons you didn't bring one person in and deprioritize another person. So that's the prioritization framework I recommend all of you guys to use. We can discuss in depth in the Q&A session, especially for the more experienced product manager can jump in to have a like more meaningful conversation. This is a high-level framework for people to start to think about. And now, I just want to close up this talk and quickly remind you guys to share anything about product management, anything you learned today on social media. This is very critical in terms of building a personal brand. And I do believe that has a very engaging brand on LinkedIn is going to serve you on the long run. So please do that. And if you want to share anything about today's talk, please tag me on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. My handle is Dr. Nancy Lee. This is also the resume framework, and feel free to take a screenshot about this framework, and you can scan the barcode and directly download this framework. This template is what I use to get full product manager job during the pandemic, and feel free to use the same template. So I wish all of you guys good luck in getting your offers. And I also have a special offer to my product manager accelerator bootcamp, which is you can get $100 off if you apply online and put the code product manager product pub in your application. You're getting $100 off. And on top of that, and this is my contact information, feel free to take a screenshot. And my YouTube channel and my website is all drnancylee.com. And email Nancy at Dr. Lee, email Dr. Nancy, Nancy at drnancylee.com. Feel free to take a screenshot and contact me later on. And I also have a LinkedIn group for mock interview and also product manager referral groups on WeChat. Feel free to join those two groups as well, and feel free to take a screenshot as we are speaking. You can scan the barcode later on when you join those two different groups. Finally, I just want to have a message for all of you guys is that, do you remember at the beginning I said my first job was very soul crushing in my opinion, is that my employer intentionally slowed down my green card application process. Finally, I stuck through this process, and 11 years later, I finally got my green card. This happened in September this year. It was only like 2 months ago. So my message to all of you guys is that people frequently underestimate what they can, they frequently overestimate what they can accomplish within a year. People frequently underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. So I want you guys to think about what's your goal, what's your clear goal, and pursue that, and understand that if you consistently push through, you will achieve more than you think within a decade. Okay, so that's my message for today. If you have any questions, and feel free to comment on the chat and directly unmute yourself if you want.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing such an inspiring talk. I think all of us not just learn more about parametrics, but also more about your experience and journey as an immigrant in America. I think the message you gave is super important to all of us to remember. And then for the next hour or so, we will do a Q&A session. So on my side, I actually collected all the questions that all our registered users have submitted before the event. But meanwhile, I also highly encourage everyone who is currently online, please submit your question in the chat history or maybe YouTube channel. So we'll try to do one from the existing pie and one from the live audience. That way we can try to sort of cover all your questions as much as we can. Okay, with that, I will just start one question just to kick off the Q&A. So Nancy, you talked about, the whole framework of how to set up the parametrics. You talked about various application. So one particular question, I think I'm just asking for one of the audience. They're working on more like API related backend sort of services. And those are usually much harder to set up metrics, because they're not like a B2C product, they're not like B2B product. They have the sort of like their customers are the developers. So for this type of scenario, any tips or frameworks you have that we can potentially borrow from the consumer facing or even B2B project to help them?
Yeah, here's the thing. So for all the backend parametrics framework, and I think specifically we can go back to, I think one of that, what I had earlier was regarding the scalability. So the framework, I can tell you the framework, but specific API, you think about specific what's related to your product. For example, the API for Facebook event or the API for smart cities is different, right? But the framework, usually when I think about those API technical framework, you will go into the scalability, the reliability, and also the throughput, which is the quantity of the product, and also the speed of the ping rate, different thing, and also the what's called the failure rate, the success rate and failure rate of your product. And that's a high level framework I will go through. But usually when you design the API product, it's very specific, like a product driven process. I remember it was very funny. So I was think it was 2 or 3 years ago, a blockchain company interviewed me. So they had like, what's your API for blockchain nodes? I was like, hey guys, believe me, the API for blockchain node is very different from the API for my smart cities product. Now I work on edge computing product. It's something very, very, very different. So usually when you answer those questions, besides using the high level, like the framework, so my framework is a guideline, help you guys to think about. If you push into that directions, in general, you will hit the ballpark. But usually when you interview those companies or specific in your own company, you need to be very specific in terms of what the application of your companies, and especially those products, for example, blockchain product, they have very, very different requirements in terms of blockchain, right? They're more thinking about the security, decentralized, and like people taking a node down or other stuff, or mining more chains, or have new algorithm to have the rewarding process happening. So you need to learn the business logic, understand how they work first, and then your API will be more specific to the product. So that's in general the framework I will be using and thinking about it. And what do you think, Chen? You are also very technical, right? In your technical management. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very dependent on the domain specific sort of knowledge and what the API is serving. If it's like a blockchain API, I bet some of the metrics are quite different from, like, for example, TensorFlow. Although I think some of the general sort of metrics that you mentioned, like scalability, throughput, accuracy, those things probably are similar. But then for each different domain, they probably have their own kind of metric system. So it's really important to figure that out. But on the other hand, I do think an API ultimately is still a piece of product serving a group of people, even though a group of people are technical people who are engineers or like blockchain users, So given that, I think some of the consumer product framework that you mentioned earlier in your talk potentially can apply. So I agree with you on that part.
Yeah, I agree. The framework applies, but you need to think deeper about your specific product.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so there's one quick logistic question from the live audience. They're just curious about whether your slides are downloadable.
Is not, but you can watch the replay of the slides. If there's lots of demand of my slides, I can consider make it public.
Okay, that's a great answer. All right, since we don't see any live audience question, I'm gonna continue. I don't know whether Nancy, you can see the YouTube area, whether there are any live question. I'll let you figure those out. But meanwhile, I'll continue unless you stop me. The other part that in your talk you mentioned, it was about this North Star metrics. And on the high level, you mentioned where at the product gets a different stage, those metrics can evolve. So just curious, can you dive a little bit more on that aspect? Because some of the folks are curious about, especially for product that may be like more mature, they turn from like a new product to a mature product. What kind of like a change you would expect the parametric framework or the metrics itself will have?
Yeah, actually, this is a great question, and this happens a lot in the product management journey. And something very interesting is that actually right now I can answer in many different product success, different parts. For example, if it's the entry, if a new product entering the market, right? So usually the way we measure the success of the product is more towards the adoption rate, how many customers, or even before customer pay for it, how many early adopters, how many free users, and then what the percentage of the free user converted, which is conversion rate. And then you also measure like the lifetime value of your customers. So that those are the earlier product. And also we focus on the scalability of the product. And usually when we build MVP, scalability do not come in right away. But once you have, let's say 10 or 20 type of customers, and you start to think about, okay, we need to think about scalability. So things start to evolve. There's also other type of product. It's something very interesting is, so I start to manage the functions of like product marketing, product management, like customer success, and technical sales right now for 4 different functions for product management. We also start to putting more metrics towards customer success. It's more towards, okay, so how many tickets come in, how many ticket was resolved within 24 hours. So you define the expected time for people to resolve the ticket as well. So that's a later on of the product was more mature product. Mature product is more towards, okay, what about the support and also the system uptime, things do not break, and also the growth. So growth will come. Growth usually at the beginning of the product. So once you mature, it's more, let's think about in a high level regarding the revenue and do we still have return customers? So that's a different phase of the product. Actually, I allude a little bit in my talk regarding different phases of the product, but like I'm glad you dove a little deeper as well.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think from my own experience, sometimes the mature product also depends on what the new strategy the company is heading towards. If the new strategy changing somewhat the direction of the mature product, then the North Star metric can change too. And I certainly experienced myself when I was at Facebook and Instagram, because they actually went through different sort of cycle of strategies. Initially, it was all about time spent, and then over time, it's about sharing, because they realized the sharing metric is going down, and that could fundamentally limit the supply of the whole social network. And so that became a huge metric for the company. I don't know about today because I left it for a while. If there any Facebook or Instagram employee in the audience, would love to hear from you what the current core metric is.
Yeah, I think there's someone from YouTube, right? YouTube PM. Maybe you can talk more about what's the latest North Star metrics for YouTube. I really need to know because I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah, so you can help our speaker here. But tell you what is the
please comment. Please comment on the chat. What's a North Star metrics? That's impressive. Then I just need to have more people if it's important. More share. Cheers.
Yeah,
Likes
exactly.
doesn't matter anymore. Interesting. Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay. Another related question what I've seen is people mention, like, in terms of the product metrics, and most of the time they are very applicable, they're useful, that's an ideal scenario. But sometimes those metrics either can be, not measurable, or the measure, accuracy dropped, or they're not applicable for a certain decision. So in those scenarios, what kind of additional data point that may matter, or what kind of things that you think will be useful in decision making?
Very good question. I think we need to bring in some specifics in it, and sounds like some metrics that don't work anymore. What are the new things you would consider, right? I think this is truly case by case. I think that whoever asks a question, maybe you can comment on the chat to bring in the specific scenarios. So usually the way we see this, I do believe there's so many different metrics coming up. It's very fun. Like things evolves all the time. If something is not available, you need to come up with new one. It's more based on your specific case and your business goals. I do believe there's more metrics than you can select from, and actually it's harder to prioritize the right metrics than all of metrics to measure, to be honest. Maybe that person can give us specific examples that he or she wasn't able to have data for current metrics. Did the person comment?
I don't see that, but I can give one example just from my own experience. Let's just take marketing as an example, because it's a very debatable area. There are obviously a lot of measurement in that area, but there are also schools of thought that you can't measure the impact of marketing, because it's all about sort of creating this viral effect or conversations in the world. And then it's sometimes if you're a company that is not Facebook or Instagram, you don't get all those metrics from them. So how do we measure the impact of your work if we are doing marketing? And then you can't know about the incrementality of the marketing campaign. So in that scenario, what would you do?
Oh, very, very good question. Here's the thing. So because now I manage product marketing as well, I hold my team very accountable. When I design it on purpose so that the result can be measured very well. For example, for my product marketing team, in terms of the return on investment of the funnel. So for example, we are working with an agency to run the like spend money. Basically, we give them money, okay, spend the money, right? So the way we measure the result is that they build a funnel, a specific strategy I cannot share, but basically they say, you can imagine this funnel going through marketing and even convert it into sales. So then the way we design it is that it's less important you give me 1 million people into the funnel. It's more important that how many of those 1 million people are the right customer. I'm okay only have 100 right customer, but 100% of the customer become paying customer. So we hold them accountable in terms of, I want to measure the bottom of the funnel in terms of, I don't care how many people turn it in, but the number of people schedule a sales call, something we measure that. And second thing we measure is the number of people who scheduled the sales call actually was converted into a pilot customer. And usually when we sell any kind of B2C product, and even B2C as well, you give people lots of freemium model, right? So we design very good free product, so you can bring people in. It's more about who actually is the right customer for us. So we hold them accountable this way. And the other part is also the engagement rate of your ads. You can spend $1 million on your ads, it's okay, but we have specific framework to track our product marketing. There is a time sequence, and there is also let's say you have ads out there. How many people directly react to your ads and come to our website? That's a direct engagement we are measuring. We also measure, of course, the cost per click, and also the cost per click. Usually when you click something, you need to come back into the engagement of my website as well. So we really track the lower down of the conversion of the engagement. Less likely I tell my our marketing to say, I want to have 1,000 impression. I don't think impression really lead to anything, because there's lots of fake bots out there and impression might be fake. So it's more converting the right customer down to the pipeline.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer. And I think Natasha actually had a very good follow-up question regarding this. I think what you just said is about kind of acquisition aspect. If we measure acquisition aspect, they usually have a set of metric that we could sort of track, and that's pretty, standard. And then I think everyone understand that. But there's another part of the marketing that these days that people talk about brand awareness, right? Or mind share. It depends on who you talk to. The word may be different, but the same thing. It's basically the impact on people's mind. So it's less about acquisition, but more about consideration. In that case, how would you measure it?
Yeah, so we actually was talking to our partners, think about that metrics as well. And the way it defined is your North Star goal, your business leader, what's important for them. You have two options actually when we design it. The option one is, to you, is sales-driven metrics. To me, it's always revenue-driven. Or it is more like awareness. If you increase awareness, you will expect high dropout rate. People come in, they don't, I heard about this. For example, men's razor, right? I don't have women, I don't need it. But they put a good impression on me one day, 10 years later, when I give my husband a gift, right? I might have it, right? So you have very high dropout rate. So you don't measure the dropout rate. If you just want to have the brand awareness, that's increased in terms of people take the minimum amount of actions. For example, if you want to increase the brand awareness of smart cities or like edge computing product, we will be thinking about the people actually at least sign up to learn more. They don't need to go down the deep sales funnel. We build a very deep sales funnel. It's the first layer of the sales funnel. How people clicked and say, I want to learn more, that's good enough. To be honest, most of them will be disqualified, or people just, I'm interested in the freemium. Let me put my credit card in, but once you put it in, you don't activate, you don't do anything. But we still consider them as a brand awareness. So yeah, you just depends on design your funnel first. You put the top of funnel for the awareness, and revenue is more middle or end of the funnel.
Yeah. So bottom line is that even if there's no conversion events for these type of marketing activity, you could still measure some sort of engagement with the content itself to see if people are taking notice. That's a good point. All right, let's just kind of change the topic.
A question on YouTube. Let me answer the question.
Yeah.
Do you could you recommend a PM book? Overall, you explained a very strategic way of thinking. Any recommendation about a product manager book? Okay, so there are two product manager books in general in this market. One is Crack the PM Interview. The other one is Code and Conquer. That's all based on how to get a product manager job. And there's another blog I read is called Andrew, I think it was Andrew Chan. Somehow sounds so similar with my friend's name. I cannot differentiate those two names. I think his name is Andrew Chan. And this Andrew guy works for A16Z. He's a partner, he's an investor, but he likes to write lots of different blogs. His blog is always very deep. So I like to write his blog posts as well. So I recommend those two books as well. So let me also answer another question here. So, okay. Thanks, Nancy, for the framework. What a good strategy to prepare the behavioral interview. Any similar framework to share? Okay, Jen asked this question regarding the framework for behavioral interview. Okay, that's a fantastic question because I love creating framework, guys. I created a new framework just by myself. It's called Trail Framework. TRAIL. So I do not recommend STAR framework for behavior interview, guys, because it's old school and people use this STAR framework do not get an offer because it's very competitive. So this is an evolved version for Trail framework. T stands for a time and the title. So you should say anytime, tell me a time when you had a conflict with a coworker, something like that. You say there was a time when I was a systems engineer, when I was an entry-level product manager, I had a conflict with a sales guy. That's, you start with time and title, that's trail, T. R stands for rationale. So why this is important problem to solve? I had a conflict with the sales guy on the pricing of the product. Why this is important problem for us to solve this conflict was because if sales and the product manager cannot get aligned on the pricing, which means the sales will not get incentivized to sell lots of product. And product manager vision cannot be implemented to sales because sales is arm of the product manager's body to execute the strategy. So this is an important problem to solve. That's our rationale. So A stands for actions, which is I took action 1, 2, 3 to solve the problem. So I is the impact. Any problem or anything you have solved in your behavior interviews, do not just say the result. The result is I solved the problem. No, no, no. The result is we solved the problem, and the impact, okay, it's about impact. The impact is after we solve the problem, we're able to quickly align our strategy, and this product was in the hands of thousands of people. We generated $10 million within 1 month. That's the impact. Trail, L, what is L? L stands for learning. This is optional. If it's more negative experience, what I learned in solving this conflict is ABC, right? Or what your failure story, anything, example, when you fail, that's learning, L, that's trail framework. Sometimes, let's say, you do not have any learn. Let's say it's your biggest accomplishment. It's less about learning, and you can ignore the L part, but the full framework is trail framework for behavior interview. That's a good question. Yeah, I like inventing framework so you guys can memorize it. Yeah, really make sure you have the rationale and R and I. In the STAR framework, they miss R and I and L as well, the learning as well. So I don't think that's the most effective way to land the PM and ace the interview.
That's excellent.
Yeah, there's more questions on YouTube, but let's take turns and back and forth for your questions and also here.
Yeah, there's actually also a live question from this audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to read it out. So how do you decide between growth metrics and engagement metrics? Which one is more important at a certain stage of your business? Focusing on growth and engagement metrics can be two totally different strategies for the business.
Yeah, I'll let people in right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, actually, the growth metrics, the growth depends on your definition of growth of the company, right? And first of all, the growth could be the growth of your daily active users, or the growth of people who like converting into paid customers, or the growth of people who come into the door as the freemium model, right? So people coming as a free, that can grow as well. So when you design the growth metrics, usually it's more based on the number of like either daily active users or revenues, or conversions is more directly connected to the revenue related metrics. Now the engagement metrics is more later on for people who is already in the door. So which is more towards like customer success type of metrics in terms of the people, okay, they're already in it. Did they share my content? Did they like it? If we think about, let's say, the engagement metrics for the B2B product, I'm building a majority of my experience building B2B products. So for B2B product, the engagement is more towards in the back end. So how often do people like run their containers in my edge platform infrastructure, right? So those kind of high level descriptions of their usage of my product goes into the engagement. For B2B, it's more like usage, and also do people continue to like engage with sales team, ask more questions to build more functions. And so those two are slightly different. And I'm wondering, May, I think you work for YouTube, right? So for YouTube, I will be thinking more towards what the specific definition of growth for YouTube right now, given you already have huge number of users right now. So right, does YouTube really care about growth of number of users or revenue, or they care more about people already here? We want them to engage this. So the more they engage, the more money the more time to watch a video, the more likely they will click ads, the more money I can make through YouTube ads. That's different way to define engagement and growth. So I think I will ask you about what do you think of YouTube?
Yeah, so May, if you can share your thoughts in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, the more you tell me about YouTube, the better.
All right, let's answer one more from the pre-registration question pile. So this question is really about industry. So as you mentioned, you interview with a different company, you get offers from different companies as well. Just curious, like, did you find some sort of like distinct characteristic, between different companies, how they set up parametrics and how they actually interview product managers on parametrics?
Oh, yeah. I have lots of stories to tell. Okay, so
yeah.
I'm an interview pro. So here's thing. So actually, I got offers in different industries in terms of I got offers in banking and also e-commerce and telco. Telco is where I came from. The reason I stayed with telco was because my current job gave me faster promotion track, and actually 4 months into my new job, I was able to manage 4 functions instead of product management, product marketing, and the product success. Everything come up together. But the difference in different type of industries, the interview selection process is very different. For e-commerce company, they are comparing themselves to fan company. So they want to use the Facebook framework, the big fan one. They want to, you can imagine which one is this. They are competing against each other. So for e-commerce, they want to attach to the fan category. They think they are all fan company. So just use a fan framework to answer e-commerce. That's you can hit 80% of the answers. Where's the other 20% coming from? The 20% is the company unique capabilities. For example, some company, I do not want to mention the name, some company, even if the e-commerce, they are more focused on operations, supply chain heavy company. Some company, the e-commerce, they're more website. For example, like Shopify or Etsy, like more website focus, less about supply chain. Some other companies are more supply chain focused. That's where the 20% coming from. If they're more supply chain focused, there will be more questions about supply chain. You can imagine that. So, and now for, let's say, for like a banking company, banking company is also very interesting. So banking company will interview you. I think that product case was so easy, to be honest. They will do the similar type of interview as fan company, but the level of difficulty is half. That sounds crazy, but maybe I was over prepared. But is they are using similar type of framework, but the intensity and the standard is definitely lower. But they put in more technical questions based on the type of banking company, the product you're building. They ask you more questions towards something like that. They also put this way, more behavior, culture fit questions. For example, if you go into a Google, Facebook, it's less about your personality. It's more about, can you crack those case interviews, crack all those interviews? And I happen to like your personality, comes later. For banking, personality plays a bigger role as well. For telco companies, so we are more, put this way, we are more leadership driven company in terms of really want to see the scope of the product you have built before. Oh, that's huge. You work with Amazon and this. They want to see leadership and the scope. There are more behavior interview questions. There's also product sense interview question, but the product sense interview question is more focused on the type of product you want to build. They won't ask you design a Facebook event. No. They will ask you, for example, towards a cloud. Okay, design a cloud product architecture or something like that. There's more product specific focused. Don't expect any design Facebook event for any telco company. So there's another tip. Do research before you go there. For example, another company, Waymo. I have so many failure stories to share with you guys. Hey guys, everything you learned from me was based on success plus failure. That's why I gave you the best advice. I have a failure story with Waymo. Okay, I interviewed Waymo a year ago. That was totally underprepared interview because they hired me for the a safety product manager. I was in smart cities, helping cities reduce car crashes. I was totally overqualified, and they were like, "Oh, we only need 2 years experience." At the time, I already managed senior product managers. So I'm overqualified. Let me just get in. I'm passionate about like a self-driving car. And then in the first round interview, they immediately asked me questions towards, oh, design the safety system or of the self-driving car. How safe is safe enough? Or how exactly you're going to have, if cars break down once per 2 million miles driven, is it safe or not? It's like everything about, do you know self-driving car? I was like, let me tell you what I think again. So we'll see how you think is, in my opinion, it's all bullshit, to be honest, is if you know the framework ahead of time, you can crack the interview way better. So I was totally underprepared. I thought I can nail the case, like no problem, no, but I didn't study self-driving cars. That's a big mistake. So I recommend all of you guys to study the industry specific, the nuances, but the other 80% is the same framework I teach you today. Yeah. One more thing. I have one more questions actually 2 more questions on here. On YouTube as well. Another thing is that, so my interview will likely cut off in 4 minutes, but my internet auto cut off so that my husband needs to go to bed every night. But let me answer the question very quickly. Hold on one sec. Someone asked, any suggestions for experienced hire move from corporate strategy in traditional industry to senior PM? Work for a couple years, don't want to join us as an entry level. Okay, I see. Okay, so James, for people who are experienced hire, that's what I suggest you, is that first of all, you do need to package your prior experience to identify what's relevant to product management. This is very, very crazy, very, very critical, is that, let's say you are director of VP or any traditional industry. Let's say it's a makeup industry. No, makeup is not traditional. Oil gas. You're VP of Shell Oil. Let's put it this way, right? So you want to become a PM or director of PM something. So I would recommend you to understand among all your VP experience within Shell Oil, how much of those are related to product management. You really need to prior package your experience first. And then step 2 is that you should have a realistic expectations. Let's say if you are VP of Shell Oil, you want to become product manager, the maximum you can become is principal product manager. I don't think people hire you directly to be a director or product manager at Netflix or Google, other places. Have a realistic expectation, but you can shoot for senior PM given your experience in the oil gas industry as a VP. And I would focus on any company who serve the oil gas customers. They will appreciate your experience in the prior industry. They are likely to give you a much higher title than like Instagram. And nothing to do with oil gas. They do not appreciate that you are VP of Shell Oil. But you can try to be a senior PM. At least any company can try to be a senior PM, but to have an even higher position, you need to laser focus on how your prior experience is relevant to the new company. Let me also connect to my hotspot because we have 1 minute left at the same time.
Oh yeah, you may want to fix the internet. Meanwhile, if any question from this audience, please don't forget to post in the chat history. I have a few more questions, Nancy, for you when you are figuring out the network issues, mostly related to sort of PM general topics. So people are very interested, since you mentioned that you were you're an immigrant and you navigate, the traditional industry and then quickly speed up your career track in product management. So they're very interested in the key challenges you have being a product leader in a multicultural environment, especially as an immigrant. Like what are the challenges? And maybe you can also share some of the advantages you feel you may have being.
My internet.
Oh, I think we're just about to lose.
Cut off a little bit. Can you repeat the beginning?
Oh, yes. I was just trying to say that, oh, can you hear me?
I can. I'm back.
Oh, okay, great. You were frozen for a second, but that's great. Welcome back. The question was really about, like the challenges that you face as a product leader in multicultural environment. And I'm also wondering, obviously we can talk about the challenges, but also curious if there are any advantages you feel given your background.
Oh, very, very good question. Yes. As an immigrant, as a female, I do see more challenges than advantages. And to be honest, so the challenge was that people assume us who look like 10 years younger than our real age. Okay. Yeah, I know. I started my PhD when I was 10. Okay. So I was very young then. Don't guess my age. Yeah. So everyone assume I'm 10 years younger than the reality. In that case, people do not take us seriously. The first impression, do not take us seriously. That's first number one challenge. The number two challenge is that, so there's lots of things that before I got green card, I recently got my green card, it's crazy. So before I got green card, there are internal confidence and external push. External push in terms of, oh, you got H1B, you're stuck here. Internal also has some like this confidence behind it. Oh, because we saw they didn't promote us was because H1B and other stuff. But once you start to remove internal noise because not confident other stuff, your progression, your acceleration process will become much faster. That's what I start to change was like, because earlier in my career, I thought because I'm an immigrant and on H1B, they don't want to promote me, yada, yada, stuck here forever, green card issue. But once I start to think about, what if this wasn't true? What if was because I don't have good presentation skills? What if I don't know how to stand up for myself? What is this other reason? What if I don't know how to negotiate? So it's not because H1B. And then I start to remove the false reasons. I focus on improving on myself instead of the external noises. I started to get promoted much faster than I thought. And something really surprised me was that you would never imagine that immigrant will be good at public speaking. There was a time that when I focused on public speaking, improving myself, my first product manager job, the one I received Mayor's Best Award, then I gave a talk among all the 5 other product managers in my company. They're all native speaker, at least 10 years, some of them 20 years older than me. So at the talk, after everyone basically, we are giving talks to sales guys. They're like a group of 50 sales guys and 5 product managers, inspire them, teach them about what the product is. So after we finish the talk, I have a group of sales guys lining up, shaking my hand, saying that, Nancy, you gave the best presentation. That's when I start to realize that I would rather to focus on the key skill set for you to grow, compare with something we cannot control. I cannot control, I look younger, that I think is a good thing. Cannot control, I'm an immigrant and other stuff. So once I realized that, I was able to change jobs 3 times on H1B and got promoted like twice within 4 years and eventually become a director of product. I think that's the most important lesson learned I want to share with everybody else. And as also as an other lesson learned as a woman, also challenging was because people like to somehow just like, you are too aggressive, this other like weird reputation out there. You don't want to challenge them because you don't want to be a bitch, but you really want to challenge them because they're taking advantage of credit, right? So there's a fine line to balance between those two. So I started to learn how to be assertive, but do not be a bitch. So that also takes more training, take some classes, have some coaches to improve, but in general, what's this? But advantage, let me think any advantage. Advantage is that you can make jokes to find excuses. Lots of time you can just say, you really want to point out someone's bullshit in front of you. You just say, oh, sorry, my English was kind of bad. I kind of don't understand what you meant. Can you just repeat?
I've done that before.
I do that. I do just like, so, oh yeah, sorry. So, oh, you guys are Americans. You do product marketing, right? I manage product marketing right now. My writing skills wasn't good. It wasn't as good American, but my public speaking skills is better than them. So I just point out, okay, oh, you know what? I'm an immigrant. You guys write it better than me. You guys write it. I come with strategies, metrics, leadership. You guys write it. I'm an immigrant. You guys should write it. Don't compete with me. I'm not as good as you. You're right. Okay, you should. But let me give speeches. I'm better than you giving speeches. You guys all know. So that could turn into a strength as well. You just admit something you're not good at because you're immigrant. Let people know you admit that, but you really need to show them that you have other strengths that people cannot replace in your company. That's very clear from day one. That's why, as I said, building a brand is very important and critical.
Really good advice. We have a live question from the audience. A lot of tech companies talk about and test about product sense a lot. I do agree that is one of the fan interview theme. Would you mind sharing what you think product sense really is about and how to have better product sense?
Good question. So it's very popular for product sense interview questions, and everybody's doing that. Everybody's copying the same framework from the fan company, and also the framework I just teach you my computer science PhD framework. That's the perfect framework. So I do like this kind of interview questions. The reason is product manager is a leadership position. We want people to walk into this role, start to make product decisions from day one. If you are not able to show your product and the customer empathy, customer segmentation, and think really deeply on the feed, talk about different potential kind of product, how would you think about it? How would I trust you to directly lead or work on different kind of product moving forward, right? So I do like this kind of interview questions. This is also part of my interview question when designed for the people I want to hire as well. But the reason behind it, two reasons. And first one is that it's very competitive. So many candidates out there. How would you qualify? If you all use behavior interview question and then you use the Dr. Nancy Lee 12 framework, everyone can do it well right now. How would you filter out more candidates? So introduce another layer of challenges to see who can answer it well. The second reason is what I said earlier. How would you be able to trust this person starting from day one? He or she is able to take on the leadership position to crack the product real case interviews in real life.
Yeah. For this topic, I can add a little bit more. We actually, Product Hub, have designed a series of workshops called Design Sprints. Very good way to train your product sense with a real problem from the industry. And on the other hand, I will also say, product sense, when people ask you that question, another thing is to see how you think as a product manager or a potential product manager. The way you think determines your future success. And hence, at least when I'm an interviewer using those type of a question, I'm really looking and drill down how this person process the new information, how they have the product logic when they design. Is this product coherent in terms of logic? Do they understand the market dynamics? Do they understand the customer needs? All of that. Hopefully, if you think about this type of question daily, this should come very natural. And then actually as an interviewer, you can tell, I'm sure Dr. Nancy Lee will agree too, you can tell who are the ones that prepare for it and who are the ones that are very natural at it. So in some way, this question also tell the interviewer, the hiring manager, how passionate you are as a product manager. Because if you love what you want to do, you will do this daily. And so when you come to the interview session, that tells. So just a little bit tip on my side too. Yeah. Any question on the YouTube side? Because I still have a lot of questions on my side, but I want to make sure.
I have a lot here.
Let's cycle.
Okay. So Ella said, customers don't have opportunities to decide and analyze product metrics. What is a good way for me to get real life experience in product execution to prepare for interviews? Okay, great. So there are two ways you can do it because you don't have experience, right? That's the challenges you face. And step one is that you can join, put this way, you can join some kind of hackathons. I think there is a 2 weeks hackathon. So in my Instagram stories, go to my Instagram account. I have a specific PM resources. In those Instagram stories, I show you examples, different hackathons. So where you can join the pick a story and dive into those specific challenges and do some overnight or like over the weekend hackathon experience. And then from there, you can practice your thinking of what kind of metrics should I use. That's step one. And step two is that I will start to Google what kind of parametrics interview questions you have right now, and try to just think about yourself, how to answer those questions. So the more questions you collect, the more you think about it, the better it can be. And the third part is you can join a parametrics like training or bootcamp or workshops, things like that. This is the introduction workshops I have, and in my Product Manager Accelerator program, I have weekly product case interview questions I do with my students. Then you will have in-depth feedback about how you answer those questions. That's a better way to accelerate your growth in learning how to crack a PM interview and gain experience as well. Another question here on YouTube is, I have, Xingwei said, I have a product management internship interview for MD Links, is online platform that provide daily medical related information for healthcare professional. Wondering how should I prepare? Okay, step one, immediately look up their product, assuming you are the product manager and you are the end user of this product. Learn it as much as you can. Step two, think about the challenges they're facing today, right? So that you pre-think the type of questions you have in terms of, okay, so medical, like they provide daily medical related information. So do some research regarding what kind of challenges do they face in terms of daily medical related information. Is a confidential or hiding customers metrics or connecting them in the back end. So you think about those ahead of time so that when they design those interview questions, you might be able to use your learning to hit part of their interview questions so that you show that you already have done your research. And the last part was that I recommend you to, for example, watch some product case in mock interview questions on my YouTube channel. I put it there, and also watch the other YouTube videos I had regarding how to answer those product manager interview questions. So you can use that to use the ROI framework to answer those questions. So you really need to do research and then do those preparations through my YouTube channel as well. If you want more like feedback and coaching stuff, you can check out my bootcamp as well. But in general, that's the three steps you can think about how to prepare for your interview. So good luck with your interview. That's very exciting. Still coming up.
Okay, I have probably one more question on my side. I know we're almost over with Q&A. So I'll just ask one last question for you, Nancy. So this is a question, I think, from a person probably thinking about transitioning into a PM role, but currently have a job. So the question is really about the strategy, how to drive conversation with his or her current manager about transitioning into PM roles. So a little bit tricky. What's your advice for them?
His current role is a data scientist, right? Did they say the current role?
Nope. I think maybe, but I copy-pasted the question, so I lost that information now.
Okay. So here's the thing. I would assume this person wants to do internal transfer instead of interview outside. To be honest, if I were you, I will have two preparations. I always have plan B. I always have three plans, not just plan B. I have plan A, B, C, okay? Your plan B should be, why don't you try to interview outside the company, just in case your current boss didn't like your behavior of trying to jump ship, he want to screw you over, okay? The likelihood is low, but let's say 5% of the boss are not very nice, okay? If 5% of the boss is very nice and he felt like threatened by you by leaving his team, yada, yada, he might sabotage you or do other stuff to you, and you will have a backup plan. You can just leave, right? I know you might be thinking, oh, I have H1B, yada, yada. Why don't you get an offer first? And we talk about, can you jump or not through H1B, step one. Backup plan, plan B. Now, plan A. Plan A is you want to talk to your manager about it. Before you talk to manager, I would talk to other product managers in your company. You need to have a landing place before you talk to your boss. You need to talk to, okay, let's say, Oh, it's another person already talked to me in my current company. So let's say there is I think she's a strategist building financial models, and she talked to me, asked me to be her mentor or just talk to learn about product management. I sent her some videos, yada yada. Then she expressed interest to join my team once I start to hire lots of people next year, things like that, right? So you need to find a landing place first before or have an idea which direction, which team you wanna go to if you want to do internal transfer, because there's somebody need to catch you once you leave your current company. Usually the way it works is if this person want to catch you, he will talk to your manager directly. He will help you out. So find a catcher first. And then once you find a catcher, I will also talk to your manager and saying that I'm interested in transitioning into product manager because ABCD reason, yada yada, continue like career growth. I really like working with you, and then see his response. But this is see the steps I took. I did the other 2 steps before I talk to your manager. Okay, you need to do other work before you commit some kind of suicide directly to talk to him. He may not help you because he's a data scientist, assume he may not have the connection. If he has a connection, that's the best case scenario, but you need to prepare for median case scenario, which is he may not have the right contact for you. So I will try to do yourself first, then talk to him, then do some combination of both.
That's a very practical suggestion. I totally echo what you said. I personally transitioned into a PM within the same company, but I was lucky my boss was actually the person suggested the transition. But even with that, I actually identified the sort of the team catch me first before sort of seriously talking about that with her. So I think that's a very excellent advice. All right, we're actually hitting to the ending time. I don't know whether, Nancy, on your side, any other question from YouTube you want to answer?
I think I'm good. I answered most of the YouTube questions. For people on YouTube, I think most of you guys join my email list. Feel free to email me back. Do you have any other questions I didn't get a chance to answer as well? And thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. So I just want to make a quick announcement. We usually have an optional social networking event after every event we have. So this is actually run on a separate platform called Round the World. It's a great startup built by a former actually Facebook and Instagram PM called Xiaoying, Chu Xiaoying. So if you guys can just click the link in the chat history, you can go and enjoy it. It's kind of like a speed dating format. Every person like talk to another person randomly assigned from this audience for a few minutes, and then you got assigned to another one. It's actually quite fun. So try it out, and I definitely invite Dr. Nancy to join us as well if you have time. Anyhow, so we're concluding today's session. Thank you so much, Nancy, about today's sharing. There's a lot of inspiring experience, and especially on the career and also as a female immigrant leader, how you succeed in the workplace here. So I certainly learned a lot. I hope all of you enjoy the sharing, and I hope to see some of you during the social event. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I copy paste the social event to the chat on YouTube as well.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to see you guys soon.
Okay, see you there. See you at Around the World. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, okay. For people who want to join the social event, please copy the link. I'm going to close the meeting right now.